Welcome back, listeners. We're diving deep today. Get ready.
Deep, that's right.
Into Tolkien's appendices this time. From The Return of the King, of course.
Of course.
So if you've ever wanted to win a Tolkien trivia night or
Exactly.
just, impress your friends with some seriously hardcore lore,
Hardcore.
you're in the right place. This is the stuff that...
Yeah. This is like behind the scenes Middle-earth, right?
Exactly.
It's great.
So where do we even begin with all this?
Well, we could start with Numenor. I mean, talk about a legendary kingdom. Right?
Okay, Numenor, the island kingdom. They were gifted this land, the land of the star, for helping the elves fight evil back in the First Age.
First Age, that's right. And they were incredible. Like, imagine living 3 times longer than a normal human.
3 times longer, whoa.
Yeah. They were these powerful seafarers meant to continue the fight against evil.
So they were like superhumans almost.
In a way, yeah. But, with great power comes...
I see where you're going with this.
Right. The Numenorians, they became obsessed with their mortality, started envying the elves' immortality.
It's always something, isn't it?
It is. And this envy, well, it led them down a dark path, away from the Valar, those angelic beings.
And that's when things started to go downhill.
Fast. It's a classic story, really. Power and longevity, they can be corrupting.
Just look at what happened with Ar-Pharazôn, their last king. He was the most powerful, but
also the most susceptible to Sauron's schemes, right?
Exactly. Sauron, that master manipulator, he saw their weakness
and pounced. Ar-Pharazôn, in his pride, decided to wage war against the Valar themselves.
Talk about a bad decision.
It was a disaster.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful reminder, Even the strongest civilizations, they can fall prey to
their own weaknesses.
Exactly. And to manipulation from the outside.
Numenor is like a cautionary tale, isn't it?
A cautionary tale for sure.
About pride, ambition.
Yeah.
But amidst all that destruction, there's Gondor, the glimmer of hope.
Oh, Gondor. Founded by the Numenorians who, remained faithful.
The ones who didn't turn away.
Exactly. Imagine them arriving in Middle-earth, carrying the weight of their lost home.
It must have been a mix of sorrow and hope, right?
Definitely. They built Minas Tirith, the White City, a symbol of resistance against Sauron.
A beacon of hope in a world that needed it.
They were determined to rebuild. The appendices describe their early years, They cultivated the land, built these amazing cities.
They even had stables for horses inside the city walls, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, picture those errand riders galloping through the city on urgent missions. It's so vivid.
It really paints a picture.
Yeah.
But even Gondor, they weren't immune to struggles.
No, sadly. Tolkien tells us about the Kinstrife, this brutal civil war that really weakened them.
A civil war.
Yeah. It's a reminder that even the most noble societies, they can be torn apart from within.
It makes you think how often history repeats itself.
The internal conflicts, they can be just as devastating as any external threat.
Division, it's never the answer.
No, it's not. And that actually leads us to another fascinating figure, Aragorn.
Aragorn, the rightful heir. His family tree, it's like a history book in itself.
It is. He's descended from the kings of both Gondor and J.R.R, the lost northern kingdom. He carries the weight of their legacy.
His father, Arathorn, he feared for Aragorn's life.
Yeah.
The appendices mention that.
Yeah, he thought his son would be short-lived, like others in their line.
Imagine that pressure, carrying that weight, knowing your time might be limited.
It adds a whole other dimension to Aragorn's story, right? He embraces his destiny despite it all.
And then there's his love for Arwen.
Oh, Arwen. And Elrond, her father, he set a pretty tough condition for their marriage.
He did, didn't he? Remind me, what was it again?
Aragorn had to become king of both Gondor and Arnor.
Talk about a challenge.
It was a monumental task. Elrond knew this love. Between a mortal and an immortal, it had to be earned.
So Aragorn's not just fighting for love, he's fighting for the future of 2 kingdoms.
Exactly. It's this amazing blend of love, duty, destiny.
It's epic. But speaking of epic, let's move on to Rohan, the Horse Lords of the North.
Rohan, a land of fierce warriors, sweeping plains, and unwavering loyalty.
I've always loved their story, especially King Helm Hammerhand.
Oh, Helm Hammerhand, he was something else.
He was known for his strength, of course.
Of course.
But it was his compassion that really struck me. During a harsh winter, he gave away all his stores to the poor.
Even when his own people were struggling.
Now, that's true leadership.
It is. That's why the great fortress is named after him, Helm's Deep, a testament to his courage and selflessness.
It makes you rethink what it means to be a strong leader, doesn't it?
It's not just about power, but about compassion, about caring for your people even when times are tough.
A powerful lesson for sure. But now let's shift gears a bit to a much darker place. The Paths of the Dead.
The Paths of the Dead. Oh, yeah. One of the most haunting places in Middle-earth. Imagine a path so deep in the mountains you can see stars in broad daylight.
Gives me chills just thinking about it.
And the air, it's heavy with the spirits of those who broke an ancient oath to Gondor.
Aragorn, he makes the choice to take those paths, doesn't he?
He does. He needs to reach Gondor quickly. And the paths, well, they offer a shortcut, a terrifying one.
It was a desperate choice, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. But the paths also offer something else, something even more dangerous.
What's that?
The dead men of Dunharrow, an army bound by that broken oath.
Oh, right. And Aragorn, he needs their help to defeat Sauron.
He does. It's a risky move, using such a powerful force. Raises questions about oaths, the past, the consequences of choices.
It's a reminder that leadership comes with tough choices. And sometimes those choices have unintended consequences.
Exactly. But let's step away from the darkness for a bit.
Okay, back to familiar ground.
Back to the Shire. But be warned, things aren't quite the same as the hobbits left them.
Oh no, what happened?
The scouring of the Shire, it's a real shock. After all their adventures, the hobbits come home expecting peace.
But instead they find
Industrialization, pollution, their beloved Shire corrupted and under the control of this shadowy figure, Sharky.
poor hobbits coming home to that.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it? A betrayal of everything the Shire represents. And to make matters worse,
Wait, there's more.
Sharky, he's revealed to be Saruman, seeking revenge even after his defeat.
So even when we think evil is defeated, it can linger.
It can find new ways to corrupt, to exploit. It's a reminder that the fight for what's right, it's never truly over.
Wow, that's a lot to process.
Mm-hmm.
From the fall of Númenor to the corruption of the Shire, it seems like every corner of Middle-earth has its share of darkness.
It does, it does. But you know, that's what makes Tolkien's world so compelling. It's not just about good versus evil. It's about the complexities of history, of power, of choice.
And that's what we're here to explore.
Exactly. Join us next time as we delve deeper into
The lives of everyday people,
the languages.
the cultures that make Middle-earth so rich and fascinating.
It's going to be good.
See you then. Okay, so we've explored these epic events, these kingdoms rising and falling.
Right, the big picture.
But the appendices, they also give us this amazing glimpse into everyday life in Middle-earth, don't they?
I really do. It's those little details that make it feel so real. Like, remember Baragon, the guard who befriends Pippin and Minas Tirith?
Oh yeah, Baragon, he was great.
He shows Pippin around the city, right?
Hey,
And we learn about life in Gondor, the different classes of people, even their sewer system.
food tours. Really?
Yeah. Tolkien thought about everything. It's fascinating.
It's like he created a whole functioning society, not just a backdrop for adventure.
Exactly. And speaking of everyday things, what about food? What did people eat in Middle-earth?
Oh, I've always wondered about that.
Well, we get some clues, like the wine from Gondor's southern vineyards.
Ah, fancy.
And of course, we can't forget the hobbits and their love of good food.
Pippin was always hungry, wasn't he?
Always. Even in the midst of, like, a giant battle, he'd be thinking about second breakfast.
Classic Hobbit. Which reminds me, the appendices tell us a lot about Hobbit culture too, right?
Oh, yeah. We learn about their origins, their love of pipeweed, their strong sense of community.
And they adopted that King's Reckoning calendar, didn't they?
They did, but, you know, with a Hobbit twist. They made year one the year they settled the Shire.
Practical and very Hobbit-like.
Exactly. But the appendices don't just show us the good. There's darkness there, too, lurking beneath the surface.
Oh, like what? We've talked about the fall of Númenor and all that.
Right, but think about the languages of Middle-earth. Tolkien actually created entire languages, complete with grammar and everything.
I know, it's incredible.
But some of those languages, they have a darkness associated with them, like the Black Speech spoken by Sauron and his orcs.
Oh, right, the Black Speech. It sounds so harsh and evil.
Exactly. It reflects the darkness it represents.
Yeah.
And then you have the Elvish languages, Quenya, Sindarin. They're beautiful, musical.
So the languages themselves, they tell a story, they reflect the nature of their speakers.
They do. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And remember the inscription on the One Ring?
Oh yeah, that was creepy. All those weird symbols.
Well, those symbols actually have meaning. They're written in Tengwar, the Elvish writing system.
So it's not just gibberish.
Nope. Tolkien put thought into every detail. He saw language as fundamental to culture.
Makes you appreciate the power of language, doesn't it?
It does. And it leads us to another aspect the appendices explore. The relationships between the different races of Middle-earth.
Right. Elves, dwarves, men, hobbits.
They're all connected, their destinies intertwined. We see the long-standing friendship between the elves and the Dúnedain, for example.
The Dúnedain.
Aragorn's people, the descendants of the Númenóreans.
Right, right. So their friendship goes way back.
Way back. And then you have the dwarves, with their complex relationship with the elves.
Sometimes friends, sometimes rivals.
Exactly. It's that complexity that makes Tolkien's world so fascinating. It's not just good versus evil, it's about different cultures with different values trying to coexist.
And sometimes clashing.
And sometimes clashing, but it makes you think, about the importance of understanding different perspectives.
Especially in our own world, right?
Absolutely. We can all learn something from that, but hey, we're forgetting another crucial element Tolkien used to bring his world to life.
What's that?
The maps. Don't you love those maps?
Oh, yeah, they're amazing. You can get lost in them for hours.
They're more than just maps, though. They're like windows into his imagination, meticulously crafted to reflect the history, culture, even the languages of the lands they depict.
I never thought about it like that.
He put so much thought into them, even created maps from different perspectives. Like, imagine a map of Rohan from the viewpoint of a rider on horseback.
Wow, that's detail.
It shows how much care he took in creating this world. For us, the maps are invitations to explore, to imagine, to get lost in the vastness of Middle-earth.
It's like a treasure map leading to hidden stories.
Exactly, they spark our imagination. But with all that detail can be overwhelming, right?
Oh, yeah. Where do you even begin with all those names and places?
My advice, take your time. Don't try to absorb everything at once. Trace the paths of the characters, imagine the landscapes, and let your curiosity guide you.
It's about the journey, the discovery.
Exactly. There's always something new to uncover. Speaking of uncovering things, what else can we learn from these appendices? Well, they give us a unique look at Tolkien's creative process, for one. We see how his ideas evolved, how he wrestled with complex themes.
Like we're getting a sneak peek behind the scenes.
Exactly. We see early versions of names, places, even storylines that were later changed. It's fascinating.
Shows that even the greatest works of literature, they don't just appear out of thin air.
There's a process of exploration, experimentation. Tolkien wasn't afraid to try new things, to revise his ideas.
It's inspiring, actually. But there's something else I've always been curious about.
What's that?
Tolkien's own thoughts and feelings about his work. I mean, what did he think about all this?
Well, in the appendices, we actually find letters, essays, even poems where he reflects on his creation. He talks about good and evil, the importance of language, storytelling.
It's like we're getting a personal message from him.
It is. And what's striking is his humility. He acknowledges the limitations of his work, things he wished he'd done differently.
Makes him seem more human, right?
Exactly. It reminds us that even the greatest works of art, they come from human imagination, with all its strengths and weaknesses.
This is amazing. We've learned about everyday life, languages, maps, even Tolkien's own thoughts. What a journey.
It has been, hasn't it? But there's one more thing we need to explore.
What's that?
Tolkien's legacy. What makes his work so enduring? Why do we still care about Middle-earth after all these years?
We've covered so much ground, from the grand history of Middle-earth to the everyday lives of hobbits, the languages, even Tolkien's own creative process.
It's amazing how much the appendices add to The Lord of the Rings, isn't it? They're like this secret key unlocking hidden depth.
They really are.
Yeah.
It's like he built this whole world and then gave us the appendices as a guidebook to explore those hidden corners. Why do you think Tolkien's work is so enduring? What keeps people coming back to Middle-earth generation after generation?
It's a question that's fascinated scholars for years, I think it's a combination of things. The intricate world building, the timeless themes, those characters that feel so real.
He created a world that's both fantastical and familiar, right? A place where we can escape, but also learn something about ourselves.
Exactly. It's escapism with real-world relevance. And the appendices, they just enhance that experience. They give us a richer context for everything that happens in The Lord of the Rings.
It's like getting a backstage pass to Middle-earth,
Yeah.
right? Seeing all the work that went into creating it. What would you say to someone who's just starting to explore the appendices?
I'd say don't be intimidated. Don't feel like you have to read them cover to cover. Just dip in and out, follow your curiosity. There's something there for everyone, whether you're interested in genealogies
Or Hobbit food?
or Hobbit food. Exactly. It's about the journey, the discovery. Each time you read them, you'll find something new.
That's a great way to put it. It's like a conversation with the text, not a lecture.
And remember, there's no right or wrong way to approach them. Just explore, ask questions, and see where it takes you.
It's about letting yourself get lost in the world, uncovering its secrets at your own pace.
And realizing that Tolkien's work, it's a living thing. It keeps evolving, revealing new layers of meaning. The appendices are part of that evolution.
It's like he's giving us the tools to keep building his world, even after he's gone.
Exactly. He invites us to explore, to question, to imagine, to make the story our own.
And that's what makes it so timeless. It's not just a story, it's an experience. You can return to it again and again and always find something new, something that resonates with you.
It's a world that challenges us, makes us think, makes us embrace the power of imagination.
Well said. I think that about wraps up our deep dive into Tolkien's appendices. What a journey it's been.
It has. It's been a pleasure exploring this world with you. But remember, this is just the beginning. There's always more to discover in Tolkien's work, so keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep the spirit of Middle-earth alive.
And if you've enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to subscribe to The Deep Dive for more explorations of fascinating topics. Until next time, happy reading.